way it currently stands, forced labor, slavery takes precedence over rehabilitation and public safety.
Oh, by the way, while the Biden administration gives reparations to everyone but free people, look at the billions he has run over to Ukraine.
We don't have black grocery stores because if you think about it now, just to get in that supply chain, it's almost unheard of.
They don't want the truth to get out. Okay? I don't want to know what my family did or what all these people did and all this stuff like that. Okay? You read that 500-page report.
There's this thing called white superiority and black inferiority. That mindset allows all of the behaviors that we've seen across generations.
I had no idea that church I was running by every day was something my grandfather established.
This is not a handout. This is a debt that is owed.
You know, Allensworth was like the internet of his time in 1904, 1905.
The total black population in California is about 2.6 million, and then of that, the descendants compose about 2.2 million of that. So California, with a multi-billion-dollar surplus, can absolutely afford to satisfy the international terms for reparations, beginning with compensation.
Any financial obstacle that exists that impedes the success of increasing financial prosperity needs to be dealt with and eliminated.
No matter where we've been, no matter what part of this fight we've been in, we've been harmed, and we've had harm done to us specifically.
When I got to Los Angeles, this was some of the worst segregation I'd ever seen. And remember, I'm telling you, I'm from Mississippi.
Because as you can see, I'm giving you broken history right now, you know? But I had to give it to you guys today. I said, no, I got to show them this because it's so precious and nobody really knows about it.
Overnight, it's like, oh, it's no longer the quarters, now it's Lincoln Heights. Oh, so now we get to use Abraham Lincoln for our name. And you think about all the other people that they could have used, but they picked Lincoln. And I think that's sort of a stereotypical of what they do.
There wasn't any black restaurants. As far as black business and weed, it wasn't none.
Black people don't have that kind of luxury. Our historically black communities have been redistricted multiple times.
Why has it been easier for other groups than us?
Because of anti-black hatred.
Now listen, if you can't handle the TR room, don't tune in.
All right, we are back in the building. Have a nice little recap show tonight. Talk about
yes. This last task force meeting is what we're going to be recapping. That was on May the 6th out in Oaktown. A very eventful meeting.
Eventful to say the least. For sure.
All right.
All right, so I guess we got some housekeeping. Yeah,
we do. So hope everybody out there had a happy Mother's Day. Yamoya here, ETM, did a little reading on some of the legislation, or stereotypes that have shaped legislation around Black women. So very interesting topic. Talks about some of the trials and tribulations. Next steps in this reparations battle is going to be looking at the budget and see where we can get in, where we fit in on the legislation, and just really looking into how to read a budget. Very important for all of us. Also, tomorrow there is a hearing set for SB 490, and if you'll remember, that's the bill introduced by Senator Stephen Bradford to extend the task force for 1 year for implementation purposes only, just to keep them together as a body while they complete their work around legislation and suggestions around proposals. And also, there is a upcoming task force meeting. It will be in Sacramento on June the 29th, and the details will be determined on that as far as location, time, and what to expect. I don't think it's going to be a full working meeting, more of a ceremonial meeting around the final report there. And as always, reparations now and cut the check. You can get your merch over at the ETM Media merch store. Yeah. So go ahead and check that out.
And that's here. I'll put it in comments, family. Just check us out at ETM Media Group Store.com. Yeah, so go check us out. That's etmmediagroupstore.com. That's etmmediagroupstore.com. So you can check out. What's up, family? Thanks for coming. And by the way, if we get enough people in the building today, we might actually be having some little giveaways. So that will be determined, because technically, you said this is a call-in show.
But it's actually maybe a come-in show.
A come-in show. Bump, bump.
But more on that later. So share this out to your friends. Share this out to your friends. They don't want to miss out on all the activity.
Facts.
All right. So speaking of activity, so again, like I said, it was a very eventful task force meeting, but they were actually finalizing and voting on some of the final stuff that's going to be in the final report. So some of it got to be a little confusing, so we had to go back and kind of pick it apart, and that's why we put this show together tonight, so we can hopefully help you understand what exactly happened.
Yeah, exactly. You want to go to the next slide? I know we like to promote and all, but yeah. So again, this is the recap show right here on In the Mass Media Group. Thanks for joining. And for those on the replay as well, please like, share, and subscribe. All right, shall we get this show on the road?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so I know we actually did a brief compilation of some of the comments, good, the bad, and the ugly. But we just wanted to give a kind of an overarching feel and energy. It's very energetic during the last task force hearing and meeting. So think you don't mind taking down the screen, and then we'll get started here. All right. Okay, so here we go.
This is Angela Nirvana. I'm sure you guys have been missing my testimony. The shenanigans of these hearings have just been seen too much for me. From fighting NARC and COBRA and 4 task members for lineage-based reparations, to whites and immigrants being able to have a say at our reparations table when we've never been able to have a say at theirs.
My name is Ernest Russell, and I'm calling to ask the California Task Force to clarify sections in Part 5 of the final report that are related to racial universal policies that go beyond the scope of AB 3121. As you heard from other callers, universal policies or racial attempts for race-based policies are not reparations.
Go ahead, Bishop Williams. Speak into the mic.
That $50 million that you took out, we want it back in our community, okay? Yeah, you got that money and took the vice president to Africa. You try to make a whore out of her.
It works now. Okay, thank you.
Please, Bishop, honor the title that you carry. And don't speak about my member, Kamala Harris, that way. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. Shut up, man. You ought to be ashamed of yourself. You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Quiet. I have something to say before we go to public comment. I'd like to acknowledge an important person in the room, Elaine Brown, who was the first woman chairwoman of the Black Panther Party. Please stand up, Elaine Brown.
But the thing that I want to say through all the research that I've been doing for 50 years, I told y'all I'm 88 years old and I'm a slave, real slave from Alabama and Florida, okay?
Good morning, Task Force. Good morning, my brothers and sisters. My name is Pastor Les Robinson. I'm originally from Sacramento, California. I'm the great-great-great-grandson of Daniel Blue, who was a slave who came out here from Kentucky and discovered gold in 1749, bought up 7 blocks of downtown Sacramento, started a cleaning business, started a church and a school for minorities in his church home. His church home was burnt down. He stayed. His church is still in existence. It is called St. Andrew's AME Church. It is 172 years old.
With the state of California. We must take lead on creating curriculum for schools, preserving our heritage, commissioning our own plaques, monuments, taking back our history and artifacts.
$1.2 million, that's a drop in the bucket. I'd rather there be $10 million. Reverend Brown, in fact, $5 million is not enough when you look at the atrocities that happened to our ancestors. Nobody's talking about it. When I can have a white friend tell me about the folks that were lynched in Coloma behind land that was black land, and we want to be silent about it today, those are the harms that happened to my ancestors that we don't talk about.
Put it out immediately.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thanks for your patience. Our next speaker, please approach the mic. We will start your 2 minutes over. So thank you, good morning. Thanks for coming out and taking the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
The world is watching. The world is watching us right now.
Pausing public comment, Miss Grady. The meeting has been paused because I'm calling for CHP to escort the people in the corner out of the meeting so that we can resume business. So do not stop talking until these people get out of the hearing.
You state that the term victim is used to include persons who individually or collectively suffered harm. The term has been interpreted to include not only the persons who are the direct target of the violation, but any other persons affected directly or indirectly. Every one of the task force recommendation is intended to benefit descendants, and a substantial number is intended to benefit descendants exclusively. But you go on to say at the same time, many recommendations cannot be implemented only for descendants and must instead be framed to benefit the larger community of African Americans or even all Californians. That is not reparations.
To be out there. After reading some of the information, I'd like to add that I'd also ask that you add an eligibility section. I thought we had agreed on that in June of 2021. I ask that there's consistent, clear, and distinct language. Black descendants. Without that specificity, we are vulnerable. And for all of these things to go to other groups, please be specific.
and thank, yes, my name is Iris Peoples. And first I want to thank the chair, and I want to thank the other members of the task force for fighting for lineage-based repair. Next, I want to thank some anchor orgs who I have gotten a lot of my information from. Those are CJEC, NAASD, ARCC, and the ETM Media Group. So thank you guys for spreading the word and for keeping us informed. And we know that reparations are the right thing to do and are good for America.
So I know we hurting. I know we've been through it, we going through it. I know we bring our trauma into this work. As somebody who is an organizer for over 10, 15 years now, I know we bring our trauma into this work. I know what we are capable of also. As the task force completes this work and finishes this plan, I want to say to my people, I'm gonna need you, because part of my job, along with these two brothers here, and a lot of the rest of us, is to actually get you reparations.
But your services are no longer needed after Amos Brown did what he did. And yet, when you want to speak about respect, tell me what politician respects the Black constituents in their community to give them housing, to give them business, to give them just a better way of life. We want you to work with what's needed for the people, not to create your own. The problem is this task force was picked by Gavin Newsom, Anthony Redden, and Tony Akins. Nothing's wrong with that, but again, politicians don't work for the people as they elected. They work for themselves as self-serving.
Just something earlier about HR 40. Won't you guys go in this audience and Google HR 40, which was something that a federal task force committee that was recommended to do on a federal level for reparation that sat dormant for 33 years with 9 presidents, including a Black one, with nothing done, even talked about reparations.
Congrats to the commission, the DOJ, and those who traveled the state month after month to support reparations. My name is Sharice Cryer. I just wanted to first say everyone's input moving the needle on the reparations issue is valuable. It doesn't matter who came first, last, or in the middle. Whether it's FBA, ADOS, CJAC, NASD, Freedmen, everyone has been valuable in this effort, and we need to recognize everyone's effort. Okay. Sometime last year, our federal government passed legislation to allow Ukrainian refugees to receive pensions and Social Security benefits. Yet we still don't have reparations.
You gotta think real fast. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank you all for your work. I know it's hard. And I want to thank our people, our young people, Yasmin, Fiani, and Emmanuel for their work, because we can't get it done unless somebody's organized. The last speaker was on point. No reparations, no vote.
But on June 17th, we're going to be a conference at First AME Church for Juneteenth. We'll be serving barbecue, we'll be having fun, but we're looking for the real solution.
So, sir?
Much respect to all the brothers and sisters here in the Bay Area, first of all. I want to make 3 quick points about reparations, and then let our other brothers and sisters speak. First thing, we have to understand we have to focus and keep the emphasis on it being lineage-based. The problem is we see a lot of trick bag language being mixed into it, where it opens the floor for other groups to come in and undermine us.
I am Friday Jones. My name is Consa Jones Muhammad. If you are here from CJEC, NAASD, ARC, please stand up. If you are part of those organizations, you see them with their seats. We are the people, Marcus Champion, Chris Lawson, and the specificity into AB 3121. Part of the reason that you all are here is because these people consistently showed us to call and push this legislation through. I need you all to recognize these people. History is told You said it the right way. Camila Moore, I salute you. You have been fantastic on being on task. The people who voted, the 5 voters for lineage-based repair, I salute you,
You
and
can't
thank you
speak in
for
person
staying
and
true
on
to
the
the
phone at
mission.
the same time. So when it's
We are here today for a mission. It is reparations, it is lineage-based. And I want the people standing to be remembered and not the YouTubers who disparage us, not members who are appointed to NARC and then let people talk in the room and disparage and say, we got crazy money. We are self-funded people. Our ancestors were linked. My grandmother never said because black women were being rich. But when you don't remember us, you put respect on our name. And that's for some of the people up in this audience too, who don't know how to keep my name out their mouth.
Oh, there you go.
Well, all righty then. Yeah, I know Our Girl Friday. Ain't that a movie, My Girl Friday? Something like that. But Our Girl Friday got a little bit of flack for, disrupting the meeting or calling in. And I was telling you myself, I've thought about, even though I've been in the room to call in, but just because I'm monitoring the stream and to get out and stand in line and move away from my station, I have thought about maybe I should just call in and talk. So I wasn't really mad at her for that. And I really wasn't mad about what she said about, being recognized for the work that we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes this work is thankless.
It can
most
be.
of the time. So yeah. So now, I mean, if your first time on this platform, first of all, thank you for coming. And if you've been listening to us for however long, we appreciate you as well. Yeah, we've been doing this even before AB 3121 was signed. So that's facts, and it is what it is.
Yeah. So not mad at that at all. And, speaking of thankless work, we do kind of all have to big up each other from time to time in this grassroots game. I really appreciated listening to those comments. Miss Iris, came out and thanked the grassroots groups that have been doing this, CJEC, NAASD, RCC, and ET and Media. So really appreciated that. Sometimes it's just the thought that counts. And, speaking of thankless, I think we have a little clip to go with that from the meeting in December down there at the bottom. You wanna roll that real quick?
I guess we can. I just don't. Do we have to take the slide off or can we just play it?
I think we can just play it.
I'll just play it.
And I'd like to encourage you to look at the platform of NARC, which includes an education provision. I think repair includes education, not just for African Americans, but for everyone in America.
Here they go. What? Didn't mean to do that. What did I do? Didn't mean to do that. What the hell did I just do? Okay. Did you catch that part of it? Here they go.
So yeah, so family, like, share, and subscribe. So we greatly appreciate that.
Right. And, if you're using the content in your content creation, you can give a quick shout out. We are all in this together.
Facts on facts on facts on facts. All right, so I guess let's get into it. There was a lot to unpack, and as Kim was saying, there was a lot going on, and there's a lot we could have touched on, but we tried to keep it kind of summarized as best as we possibly can, without things getting overly confusing to the process, because it got really confusing between what was voted on, what wasn't going to be voted on, and so as we go through this process of just trying to understand, the political arena, things can get confusing, but we're going to do our best to unconfuse things.
Yeah.
And if you in the chat, and if there's something that you're confused about, let us know, or there's something that you feel like that you understand, let us know too, as well as we go through this process. So
Right. And like you said, sometimes it can be seemingly intentionally confusing. So that's why it's important to go back and kind of pick it apart piece by piece.
Right. All right. So I guess let's get started. If you want to hit on not the first slide, but maybe the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th slide, I think it is.
Down here at the bottom?
Yeah, this 5th slide. Okay, so I guess we'll kind of give you a little synopsis before we actually play the clip. So it looks like this version was taken out of, or the words were taken out of this part of the interim report, which will be the final report. And this was basically, as you will see in the clip, it was kind of suggesting that it's going to be hard for African Americans or those descendants who descend from U.S. chattel slaves here in America, that it would be difficult. So there was some back and forth that was going on about that. So we're going to go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then we're going to play you a couple of clips on that. And
let me quickly just read what this excerpt says exactly.
Right.
So the part you have highlighted here says, make it extremely difficult to trace which Black individuals living today are American descendants of slaves. So let's see what they have to say about that.
All right. Let me go ahead, get the audio rolling with this one. All right, so I think we're ready to go. If you guys see the screen yet, I think you might have to undo the overlay.
All right.
All right, cool. All right, can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
All right, let's go.
We wordsmith it as best as possible so it's deliverable, and where Ledge Council is agreeable with it as well.
Any other questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll turn to Parliamentarian Johnson for a roll call vote.
Actually, let's move up a little.
Well, as add any additional consequences of 400 years.
Member Tamaki votes aye.
Preparing for this penultimate meeting. Preparing for this penultimate meeting.
For the record, I vote aye.
I didn't vote. I'm sorry. I thought I did. I apologize. Member Tamaki. Member Tamaki votes aye. Madam Chair, there are 9 members present and voting. There were 9 ayes, 0 nays, and 0 abstentions.
Thank you. So now we'll return to the action item actually on the agenda, which is action item number 5. So are there any questions, comments related to this action item? Okay, I have one comment. In preparing for this penultimate meeting, I reviewed all of the meeting minutes for the past 2 years, so for the past 15 hearings. Just prefacing that. So the comments that I have relates to page 39 of the interim report. So I spoke to the DOJ about this in April of last year. On page 39, there is a sentence that reads, name changes, destruction of culture, inaccurate records, forced family separation, and other consequences of 400 years of racial oppression make it extremely difficult to trace which Black individuals living today are American descendants of people who were enslaved. I raised this concern with this particular sentence again with the California DOJ last year before our April hearing in San Francisco, noting that this particular sentence has no citation. The task force did not come up with that conclusion. And I noted that this sentence needs to be taken out entirely. A great number of African Americans can trace their lineage to the period of enslavement. With technology today, it's easier than ever before, or to an ancestor living to the period in the South prior to 1900, which is a rebuttable presumption of being a descendant of slaves, as mentioned by one of our expert witnesses, Dr. Evelyn McDowell. Also, an African American reader of this report may also find this particular sentence highly offensive and culturally insensitive, as it also goes against the majority of expert testimony on the issue. And so in raising that concern with the California DOJ before our April hearing, I asked if I needed to raise that concern in the public at the April hearing, and I got confirmation via email stating the following. I do recall your request to delete the reference below from the text. I'm going to look into what happened and why it was not omitted from the final copy of the interim report. I will also inquire about whether we can make the change now, as well as add any additional acknowledgements to the report, or if we must wait until the final draft to make any additional edits. Further, the California DOJ stated via email, I was able to get some further clarification on this issue. As you know, there were several versions of the report flying back and forth between task force members and DOJ staff. Apparently, the sentence you referenced was located in 2 different places within the report. One was deleted from page 453, but the other one on page 39 slipped by. I'm informed that there are some additional fixes being made to the report. I will flag this one and provide to the advisory committee the additional acknowledgments you requested. So summarizing, in this reproduction of the interim report, that problematic sentence is still in this draft section. Raised the issue again in preliminary meetings with the DOJ about let's just delete it. However, they requested that I make this concern known to the public and entertain a motion to formally delete this sentence out of the report.
All right, so we'll go ahead and pause there. I guess it's kind of like a review type of thing. What do they do, like watching? I don't know what it's called. It's called something. I guess they watch
reaction.
Yeah, reaction. There you
videos.
go.
Yeah. Well, my reaction is they had that mess in there twice.
Yeah, that was very interesting. Should we go over some of kind of the what's up, family? Thanks for coming through. As a matter of fact, Roots Tracker's in the building. We're actually talking in the building about genealogy. So I don't know. I'm sure you have some words about this, but yeah, I'd like to know, family. Like, I mean, first of all, should we continue with some of the rebuttals, or should we
Yeah,
just go
we can.
to
In the meantime, I am going to drop the link in. If Roots Tracker wants to join us, just
come through,
link,
family.
bam, come through. But yeah, so ultimately, did they end up having to vote on this decision? Is that what we're going to watch?
Yeah, so they ended up voting on this particular topic regarding genealogy. But we can go through one or two rebuttals or just summarize it if we want. Oh, okay. She's traveling. Okay. So basically the question was, is it hard, for Black folks who descend from U.S. chattel slavery to actually find their descendants? So there's a debate going back and forth about actually taking this particular language out of the report, which it says it makes, 400 years of racial oppression make it extremely difficult to trace which Black individuals living today are American descendants of slaves. So, I guess I can continue with the vote, or
Yeah, let's see how this
Oh, wait a minute. I think we have somebody in the building. Let's see if we can. We got Roost Trackers in the building. What's up?
Greetings, all.
Greetings.
Hello.
Brother Yamaya. It's
What's
a pleasure to have you invite me up. Now,
It's a pleasure for you to be here.
Yes. And so, first and foremost, thank you for all that you both do to inform us, and all the work that you put in, all the news and editorials and all of the stuff that we are either there live or catching up. I know it means a lot to everyone else, but it definitely means a lot to me. So much appreciation.
Well, thank you. It's definitely our honor to do this work. And thank you for the shout out.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
appreciate your family. So what do you think about that? Do you think it's hard for Black Americans to find their descendants?
Okay, so is there something more that I need to hear behind that before I answer?
Well, I guess if you want, first of all, I guess we should introduce you, or if you want to introduce yourself.
Oh, okay. I can definitely answer that
we
question.
know each other, but how about you introduce, because you have some experience in this field. So
I absolutely do.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Yeah. So, greetings, everyone. Peace and blessings. My name is Yaira Coburn. I have a business. I've had it for, I think I'm going on 6 years. It was originally called Learning DNA Genealogy. It is now called Root Trackers, Genealogy Services. I didn't think I was gonna try a business in this, but what happened was I got very good at doing what I do. I not only do advanced paper trail work, but I do know how to do the genetic genealogy. I knew how to read the DNA. And so I've broken a lot of brick walls in my own tree. Specifically one on my paternal side. My dad didn't know anything about his father's people. So everywhere else we kind of knew further back, but that was one significant piece that I needed to figure out. And we've done a lot of work on that end. So when I started helping everyone else and I was breaking their brick walls, everybody's like, oh my gosh, you're so good. You should do this. And I'm like, okay. And I got support from my husband, my dear husband, Kiris, and one of the elders. She's been an activist for over 40 years in the Los Angeles community. And that's Mama Rashida. And so I got the support from both of them. And I started a business, and particularly to help our people, but my business is for whoever wants to utilize me. So with that said, is it hard for us to find our ancestors? It's not. It's not.
Okay, so do you think that this sentence has any place in the interim report?
Say that one more time, Kim.
I said, well, do you think that this sentence, this problematic sentence, has any place in the report? To just throw that out there, that it's so difficult.
Well, okay, so there's a lot to go with this. I sometimes people just rely on the paper trail. That may not be that great for everyone because our people didn't trust a lot of census and reports based on what we've been through, right? So some people just ignored that. I often tell people, you're better off just doing your DNA because there are also NPEs. So who someone thinks their one parent might be, may not be.
Yaira, before you go on, can you explain what an NPE is?
NPE, it's a non-paternity event.
Thank you.
So, for instance, when we were doing my husband's genealogy, both his parents have passed away. But we were doing his parent, we were doing all the, the ancestors. And then when we were looking them up on his DNA, well, one line didn't make sense because they weren't showing up. I said, honey, this isn't showing up. But what did show up was a first and second cousin of a different name. And I followed up with them. I got the information from them. I did the tree, and then it made sense. He didn't know any different. His mom didn't know anything different. His mother's parents were married. She had a child with somebody else. You see what I mean?
I do.
So NPEs, non-paternity events, just because someone's told you, oh yes, those, I mean, I want to trust my parents. I was just expecting whatever when I did the DNA. Anything could be anything. You could be raised by relatives, but they may not be your parents. That's possible. It's more common than you think, but it's probably not probable for everyone's. Obviously, it's not a high percentage, but the percentage is there. And I don't know the dynamics. I don't know the demographic. I don't know that information based on this hemisphere, the northern hemisphere. But it happens a lot. It happens a lot. I mean, I found an NPE on my tree recently. And it looks like my second great grandfather was taken care of by his white family, but they weren't his parents. His parents were Cherokee. And there were a lot of deaths because of the Trail of Tears. And he happened to have some white family and they took care of him. He's on the paperwork, but that's not his parents. I thought, even though I have a picture of him, and I'm like, how is his parents white? He don't even look like that he would have, white Caucasian parents. But then I did see some of them had native. So I said, well, maybe some genes skipped. I don't know. And then eventually, because of DNA, because of a third cousin that I had, I looked at my great aunt's DNA, which I did. I was able to follow the trail. It was her second cousin, third or fourth for me. And I was able to look at fourth and later cousins. And it was that same father was showing up on all the generations that we matched them on.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I was able to find his father.
Interesting. Well, it's going to be an interesting process. And like you said, there'll probably be some surprises.
Surprises. Now, I do know this. If someone's adopted or say like someone they know they have a Caribbean family or, like they may be Black from somewhere else, but they're not sure about the other parent. When you do the DNA, you can see if your territory is from here or not without even knowing your parent's name by doing the DNA.
Okay, I mean, so
You can see it will say Virginia, early colony, Virginia colony, or it'll say North Carolina African Americans, or it'll say that. It'll say it. And it's not wrong because I've looked at my mixed relatives that have Caribbean and here, and it says it. I've looked at the ones that are straight up just Caribbean. I looked at the ones from Canada that are Black. I looked at the ones from all different places that they've shared with me their DNA page. I've looked at a lot, and it's not incorrect. It comes up correct.
we're gonna have to have you come back to do a full show.
Yes.
I have a
people need to see the visuals. They need to see it.
Yeah, I might have you trace some of my roots. But I have a question for you. So you say you started your business 6 years ago, which was a little before all the, reparations talk and activity. Have you noticed an uptick in your business of people who are seeking out their
yes,
technology
I
for
have.
that purpose?
I have, and I have clients I'm still working on right now. But yes, a lot of people are very now all of a sudden where I get my hair done, everybody in there wanted theirs done. Yes. So
okay, well, we've got your handle up here on the screen so people can see who you are. Did you have a email address, a website that you wanted to drop in the chat? So
my website is roottrackers.com. It's almost done. It's almost done, but it's it's there. I also have a business page on Facebook. That's where you can see all my reviews. And that should be it's Root Trackers, aka Learning DNA Genealogy. It should pop right up with Root Trackers.
Okay.
And email, you can reach me at YC. So those are my initials, YC Homes, HOMES at yahoo.com.
Okay, at yahoo.com. All right, we'll get that in the chat for anybody who wants to track you down and learn about that.
Right. So it is not impossible. If they're trying to make that a problem, it's not. It's not. For someone that's savvy and advanced in doing this work, it's not a problem. I don't care if you're an adoptee. It's not a problem at all. I've done lots of adoptees. It's not. Trust me, it's not. So,
well, yeah, thanks for coming through. We got to continue with the show.
Yes, I appreciate that last minute.
Yeah, thanks for jumping
bringing
on.
me up.
Yeah, I appreciate you as always. But before you go,
okay.
Do you want to play a little contest? You want to win a little something?
Oh no! What do I have to do?
You have to answer a reparations question.
Oh my God! I'm probably gonna be horrible, but I'll try.
All right, let's see what you can do. Okay, I guess I'll ask the first one. All right, Kim, I'll ask the first one. Who is the chair of the current California Reparations Task Force?
Oh my God. And I know who it is, it's just not.
I was going to give you a more difficult one, but I decided to give you what I thought was a softball. Should we give her a hint, Kim? I'll say her first name begins. See, I'm already giving it away. Begins with K.
And last name starts with the M, and it's not Kim Mims.
Camilla, right?
Yep. Okay, that's the
and
first.
Is it more?
Boom.
Yay.
All right.
Camila.
Okay.
I want to say Camila, but it's Camilla, right?
Well,
Pronounce.
Yeah. I gotta give you. Here we go. So yes. So we'll give you we have a few more copies left of our reparations manifestation book. So if you hit us an email, do we have our can you put up our email address?
Yeah, and I can screen.
Yeah. So yes. So
shoot it up.
You might already have it, but that's okay. For if you don't have it, it's etnmediagroup@gmail.com. Just send us over your name and where you want us to send it to, and so you go ahead and manifest these reparations.
There it is. I see it.
We got about 6 months left, and we need to manifest this collectively.
Yes, yes, exactly. Well, everyone's giving. It seems like all these people are giving up. I'm like, what the? That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that's why we're here to keep them going.
Yeah, exactly. And I appreciate y'all for that.
Hey, we appreciate you. So definitely keep up the great work. We're gonna keep this show moving, but you know you're always welcome, and you know we're always gonna support you. So when you're ready, come through. We're gonna get some genealogy understanding. And,
yes. There's so many topics, so much to discuss. So
facts, family. All right, Miss Yaira, you have a good evening.
A great grand moon, and I will talk to you both very soon, hopefully.
All right, sis. Peace and reparations.
Talk soon.
Yes. Peace and power.
All right, so that was a interesting impromptu, by the way.
Yeah.
Discussion
from the expert's mouth.
Facts. So I guess since we went way past our time, let's just go ahead and let me sync it to the verdict, see what they had to say.
Okay, let's see how this played out.
Okay, so let me know. Can you hear it?
Is and what it does, and I don't find it to be a terribly effective or useful statement in this section. I think it's appropriate for us to talk about the challenges that some individuals, an appropriate place for us to talk about the challenges of tracing lineage. And we recognize that. We understand that for all the reasons that you and Professor Grills bring up. I don't think it belongs here because it's out of context here.
Is there any other discussion on the matter? Question is called. I'll turn to Parliamentarian Johnson for a roll call vote.
I will begin the roll call beginning with the chairman. Chair Moore.
Aye.
Chair Moore votes aye. Vice Chair Brown.
Aye.
Vice Chair Brown votes aye. Member Bradford. Member Bradford.
Member Bradford's like,
Abstain.
I ain't got nothing to say.
Member Grills. Member Grills votes no. Member Holder. Member Holder abstains. Member Jones Sawyer. Member Jones Sawyer votes no. Member Lewis. Member Lewis votes aye. Member Montgomery Stepp. Member Montgomery Stepp votes aye. Member Tamaki. Member Tamaki votes aye. Madam Chair, there were 9 members present and voting. There were 4 ayes, 2 abstentions, and that is correct. There are 5 ayes, there are 2 abstentions, and 2 nays.
Thank you, Parliamentarian Johnson. There are 5 ayes, 2 abstentions, and 2 nays. The ayes have it, and the motion carries.
All right, well, there you go. That was the vote.
It's out of there. So just so we're clear,
Yeah.
abstention, that might as well just be no, right?
Basically, he ain't said a nothing.
I
It's
mean,
like,
but it
I'm
would
out.
count as a no, I mean, in the
Yeah.
final tally.
Right. So it might as well be a no, but I guess when you don't say anything, then it's considered abstention. So,
Mhm.
all right. Definitely not a yes. All right. So I guess let's go to the next topic at hand.
All right. What's next up?
All right. So, let's see. What about the first slide, I guess? You want to go to that one? Okay, so chapter 8 introduction. All right, so let me see if I can pull this one up. All right, so I believe this one starts around 30. Yeah, so let me go ahead and cue this one up.
So do we want to explain what's going on here? Or?
Okay, well, wait, hold on a second. I thought, my bad, family. Hold on a second. I don't know why I'm starting there. Let's see. Let's is that 30? You know what? Let's skip this one for the next and let's go to the next one because I thought I had it queued up. My bad, family. Not perfect. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay. Let's see. Compensation and restitution. Let's see. The monetary payment owed to African Americans as a child slavery person or descendants of a free black person in the United States prior to the end. Okay, I believe this is the one that they were having some back and forth in terms of who was going to be eligible or not, or the wording of this.
Yeah,
if
the
I'm correct.
language.
Yeah.
Michael Newman wrote something up to be included. And
Okay.
yeah.
So let's go. We're going to play that. And I guess he wrote this during lunch sometime. I don't know what was going on with that, but let me cue that one up. Let's see. Okay, so this is where he's gonna the attorney Newman's gonna say basically what his understanding of what the eligible community is in this one. So let me go ahead and cue this up. Let me know when you're ready for it to be queued, and I think you might need to take off the overlay at the time.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here we go.
For those who might be interested, chapter 17 is titled Final Recommendations of Task Force Regarding Calculations of Losses to African American Descendants of a Chattel Enslaved Person or Descendants of a Free Black Person living in the United States prior to the end of the 19th century, and forms of compensation and restitution. So the eligibility is baked in, but I think what we're missing and what I said we were missing from last meeting was a very clear statement of eligibility. And then that's what I think we heard in public comment. I think that's what Chair Moore is asking for. I think that's what Member Montgomery Stepp is asking for, is a very clear statement of who we are talking about. And I think Chair Moore is asking for us to further state why. And so what I'm asking is, can we do that through a motion, have it included within chapter 17, which talks about compensation, which I would argue is appropriate because AB 3121 asks us to talk about eligibility in terms of compensation. And so that way we can respect the much needed clarification, recognition, representation of the eligible community, and also respect the DOJ's timeline for getting this done. So that's what I'm trying to get at. It is for the people. Well, the issue is that when AB 3121 was put into a bill and was passed, AB 3121 came with a deadline. So we ceased to exist on June 30, meaning you will see me on the street, and I'm just Javon.
All right, so I'm gonna move forward just a little bit because I think Newman actually talks about his updates, or what he thinks the updates should be according to what the task force should recommend. So here we go.
Sure. This is the very end of chapter 17. The paragraph, the header is part 4, conclusion and recommendation regarding monetary compensation for the eligible class. The discussion is, as set forth in this chapter, even limited to the relatively few categories of harms that the task force found to be calculable, the immense nature of the loss is significant. This loss must be compensated with monetary payments as set forth in this chapter to those who suffered the loss. The task force reiterates its recommendation that, however the legislature ultimately determines to make monetary payment for these losses, those monetary payments should be restricted to African American descendants of a chattel enslaved person or descendants of a free Black person living in the United States prior to the end of the 19th century, members of the eligible class as defined by the task force.
No, it's not. No, that's not the right language, because again, that expresses the motion that failed. We didn't in March 2022 decide that only monetary reparations would go to descendants and all other forms of reparations under international law will go to all folks. That's not what we decided. And the way that's written, it's written to say that, again, we decided that monetary reparations would go to just descendants and all other forms would go to everyone else. That's not what we decided. So then in terms of a compromise, I think we can work with that, but monetary needs to be excluded. It needs to say, we decided, again, it needs to reflect the decision that we made in March 2022 that all forms of reparations, including monetary reparations, are to be for the eligible class as defined in March 2022. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, you cannot.
Okay, so we're gonna go pause it there for a quick second. So yeah, so after this point, it gets really confusing. There's like a back and forth, what we're gonna take out, how many points are going to be in there based on lineage. I know Camila Moore actually recommended putting the do we have a slide of the Freedmen's Bureau from section, I don't know if you could put that up. I think it's section 5. No, that's not it. Okay. And also recommended putting the California American Freedmen's Affairs Agency as well in the section 4, I believe. And Kim, there was one more, wasn't it? I think there was, yeah. Yeah, so there were 3 points. So there was the Newman's eligibility terms. There was the Freedmen Agency that was supposed to be, or suggested to be moved from part 5 to 4. And then also to update the chapter 17 to include the international principles, or the forms, the 5 forms, which should include compensation.
Right. What she was talking about there is including the 5 forms. In this section here, we're looking at part 4, chapter 17. This line here, she said the simple solution and compromise would just be to add the other 3 forms here where you see compensation and restitution. So rehabilitation, she suggests including rehabilitation and satisfaction and non-repetition in these areas as well.
Correct. So she does go on to mention that later on, and there was some back and forth on, are we going to move this? Are we going to include this? We know we're running out of time here, and it was literally mad scramble.
Yeah, it was a nail biter. It was a nail biter.
Yeah, it definitely was. So I guess let's just see if we can go to what the actual vote for the change was. That starts around 2:40. So let me cue that one up. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Let me know when you can see the screen.
I can see it.
All right, here we go.
To the vote, it requires 6 to pass. Chair Moore?
Aye.
Chair Moore?
Let me go back just a
And
little
I
bit.
call for the question.
Has been called. I'll turn to Parliamentarian Johnson for a roll call vote on the motion on the floor.
Could you read? He's calling the question. Okay. There requires a 2/3 vote to call the question. May I have, you need to get a second for the call for the question.
All right, it's been seconded.
I'm sorry. Madam Chair, you need a second for the call for the question. Oh, thank you.
Seconded.
Okay, I will begin to the vote. It requires 6 to pass. Chair Moore?
Aye.
Chair Moore says.
Yeah.
What were we voted on?
Are we not voting? You just said, no, we're not voting to end debate. Okay, so now we're voting on the motion. Okay, the motion that's been properly moved by Vice Chair Brown and properly seconded by Member Montgomery Stepp.
He called for the question. That stops debate. So, I mean, Dr. Brown called for the question. And when he did that, that means to end debate, which is where we are now. So we were voting on that.
Or otherwise we keep debating. It's a vote.
All right, let me fast forward a little bit. But yeah, this is the whole confusing part. So let's continue.
Motion fails. So as a reminder, we are on agenda item.
Remember, Tamaki voted for.
We're gonna, let me take a break.
No.
Hold on.
I don't know, somebody's confusing this thing. And it's not me.
Dr. Brown, you just called for the question, correct?
For us to vote on getting done what we need to do.
And
Now, do we need to have the restatement of the motion?
Yes, go ahead, Madam Chair.
the restatement of the motion as it was moved by Vice Chair Brown and properly seconded by Member Montgomery Stepp would be to modify Part 4 to change the title to include the 3 other forms of reparations, include Michael Newman's conclusory paragraph with the modifications that I mentioned earlier, and to move the agency section up to Part 4.
Okay, I will begin the vote with Chair Brown. I'm sorry, Chair Moore.
Aye.
Chair Moore votes aye. Vice Chair Brown. Vice Chair Brown votes aye. Member Bradford. Nay, is that nay? I don't, nay.
No vote. No, he's no vote.
Okay. Member Grills? Member Grills votes nay. Member Holder? Member Holder votes nay. Jones Sawyer, Member Jones Sawyer? No vote. Member Lewis? Member Lewis votes no. Member Montgomery Stepp? Member Montgomery Stepp votes aye. Member Tamaki? Member Tamaki votes no. There were 9 members present and voting. There are 9 members present and voting. And there were 3 ayes, 2 no votes, and 4 nays. The motion does not pass.
Thank you. There are 3 ayes, 4 no votes, and 2 abstentions, and thus the motion fails. So as a reminder, we are on agenda item number, we're on agenda item number 10.
As is. Which is it?
Again, Member John Sawyer, you're recognized.
I'd like to make a motion to approve item number 10 as is.
It has been properly moved by Member Jones Sawyer and properly seconded by Member Grills to approve agenda item number 10 as is. Is there any discussion on the matter? Elder? So where does that leave Michael Newman's paragraph that he wrote during lunch?
You want to add the paragraph? Can I amend my motion to add the paragraph for Michael Newman?
Again, so the motion, okay, there's a motion to amend. Is there a second? Been properly moved by Member Jones Sawyer and properly seconded by Member Grills to include the paragraph that Attorney Newman wrote during the lunch period. Is there any discussion on the matter? Again, my concern with the paragraph that Attorney Newman wrote during the lunch period, it doesn't accurately reflect what the task force decided in terms of eligibility. So the paragraph as written is flawed. It goes against the decision that we made as a task force in March 2022. We never made a distinction that only monetary reparations goes to the community of eligibility and all other forms go to everyone else, including all Californians, regardless of background. We never made that statement. That paragraph reflects, again, the failed motion that passed, not the actual motion that passed, and that is in page 10 of the March 2022 meeting minutes. Member Jones Sawyer, you're recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Moore, for your comments. I believe we've discussed this for quite a while. So I'll call for the question.
Is there a second?
Is there a second?
Is there a second on the call for the question?
I will call, okay, the question has been called.
Is there a second on the call of the question?
Yes.
Is there a second on the call of the question? It has been properly, okay, now turn to Parliamentarian Johnson.
Thank you. 2/3 vote is required. All in favor vote aye. I will begin with Chair Moore.
No.
Chair Moore votes no. Vice Chair Brown. Vice Chair Brown votes no. Member Bradford. Member Bradford votes aye. Member Grills. Member Grill votes aye. Member Holder. Member Holder votes aye. Member Jones Sawyer. Member Jones Sawyer votes aye. Member Lewis. Member Lewis votes aye. Member Montgomery Stepp. Member Montgomery Stepp votes no. Member Tamaki. Member Tamaki votes aye. Madam Chair. Madam Chair, there were 6 ayes. There were 9 members present and voting. There were 6 ayes and 3 noes.
Thank you. There are 6 ayes and 3 noes. The ayes have it and the motion carries. Technically, that means that then there should be a follow-up motion to rescind the lineage eligibility vote that we made March 2022. That's the effect. That is the effect of what just passed. How is it different?
That's what he, oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Yes.
So we'll now move to the next item on the agenda.
No, Madam Chair,
which
we
is-
have to vote on the main motion.
Oh, sure, to fully finalize that
Yes.
particular section in the report.
Yes. I will begin with Chair Moore.
Abstain.
Chair Moore abstains. Vice Chair Brown. I'm sorry, sir. Vice Chair Brown abstains. Member Bradford. Member Bradford votes aye. Member Grills. Member Grill votes aye. Member Holder. Member Holder votes aye. Member Jones Sawyer. Member Jones Sawyer votes aye. Member Lewis. Member Lewis votes aye. Member Montgomery Stepp. Member Montgomery Stepp votes aye. Member Tamaki. Member Tamaki votes aye. Madam Chair, there were 9 members present and voting. There were 7 ayes and 2 abstentions. No nays.
Thank you. There are 7 ayes and 2 abstentions. The ayes have it and the motion carries. The next item on the agenda is action item number 11, final discussion and vote on full final report, part 5, policy recommendations to the legislature as to the appropriate policies, programs, projects, and recommendations.
All right, family. I'm just gonna briefly stop it there. Hopefully we have about another 10, maybe 15 minutes to go in this program. So really appreciate you coming through. If you do want to come through, we did have the link in the chat. But if not, we will continue with this. Now, should we talk about, I think they talk about more about the eligibility, or should we just?
I mean, talk about what just happened there. So let's see. So this statement in the first vote, they voted not to update this statement with the additional pillars of reparations, if I'm not mistaken there. And then the language that Michael Newman added to this area here, they voted to include his updated language.
And as well, they decided, I can't remember which part it was in there, but I know Camila Moore decided she wanted to have, which kind of made sense, to actually have the California Freedmen Affairs, yes, American
Yeah,
Freedmen Affairs
moved
Agency.
out of,
moved.
let's see what they are calling it. She wanted it moved out of the Chapter 18 General Structural Policy Recommendation section, which is Section 5, and wanted it moved up into Section 4, where they're talking about the actual reparations compensation, and that did not happen either.
Right. Do we? I think we have. That's in Chapter 17. Do we have a slide for that? Or no?
No.
What is that? This restitution one? Does that mention 17 or no?
Let's see.
Yeah, there it is. Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is what I showed you. So this is where the header that did not get updated.
Right. So basically, and actually, if you go back, we actually talked about this. I think I did read it about the calculations section. So this was part of it where Chair Moore wanted to actually have the, which is in Chapter 18, moved into this Chapter 17, which seemed it would fit a little bit more because, I don't know, Kim, I think that would have something to do with restitution if we moved it into
I mean,
this.
that was one of the arguments made at the meeting, is that the Freedmen's office was short-lived, taken away, mismanaged, plundered, and getting it back is part of restitution. So definitely falls under restitution in that regard.
Okay, so Carolyn has a question. So just want to know, is it still lineage based, meaning our reparations? So currently, and Kim, you can, have your 2 cents too. Currently, the lineage vote still applies, so it is still lineage based. That part hasn't changed.
Correct. Our lineage is still intact. Our lineage-based criteria is still intact.
Correct. Hopefully we answered your question, Carolyn. If so, hit a 1. If 2, we need to explain some more, or you can actually come in, just hit that link. But if not, hopefully, I think we did.
Yes, it's still
okay.
lineage based,
Yes.
and they were very specific about saying that any monetary reparations will go to the lineage eligible community, but there are some other universal policies being proposed that could, end up going to a greater groups.
Right.
If you include some of the loophole language that they're trying to get cleaned up at this meeting.
Right. So let's go to the next slide. I believe that is the one with the orange highlights. And then I think we should be able to wrap it up. Okay, so this is in Chapter 18. It's Kim mentioned for the, this was in the General Structural Policy Recommendations. And as we go forward in the clips, you will see that Chair Moore recommended to actually take both of these paragraphs out because it could basically confuse the public, one, and also possibly confuse legislation. I guess I'll go ahead and read it and then play you a clip or two of this. It's I know this ain't funny, and I'm not trying to laugh because it's not a laughing matter. But I think what is just kind of ridiculous in a way, or a little bit confusing, is just the politics and the procedure that surrounds this stuff. So even with us, we literally had to go through like all the footage from beginning to the end after the comment period to really understand what was going on, because family, at the time, it really made no sense. So
the politics was in full effect.
So let me go ahead and read this. what the Chair Moore recommended to take out, and then we'll play you a couple of clips of what happened. So while recommending that monetary reparations be limited to the eligible class, the task force recognizes that the 5 pillars of reparations in AB 3121 require that it also endeavor to ensure cumulative harms of the past 4 centuries do not continue to be visited upon living African Americans and on society in California and the United States. Goes on to say, at the same time, many recommendations cannot be implemented only for descendants and must be instead be framed to benefit the larger community of African American Californians or even all Californians. The task force has determined in its judgment that the scope of cash recommendation matches what is needed to bring repair to all those who have endured harms outlined in this report, and to ensure that the guarantee of non-repetition for those harms is fully recognized or realized. Sorry about that. So I think one of the larger contentions is it must instead be framed to benefit the larger community of African American Californians or even all Californians. So yeah, I think that was some disturbing wording in there. Or, I mean, basically, that sounds to me that it doesn't align to what the task force members voted on lineage and also AB 3121. So let me go ahead and cue this up real quick just to give some further context on where we're at. And I believe I'm going to cue up Lisa Holder, because at first it was recommended to take both out, but then I believe Lisa Holder had her recommendation. So let me cue this up. We are at 9. Okay. All right. Are we ready?
Yep.
All right, here we go.
Of the crime, or else this political process in this nation, in this state, gonna whoop your behind, and you're gonna get nothing.
Thank you. Member Montgomery Stepp, you're recognized.
I would just ask for an amendment or put an amendment on the floor to remove those sentences from the report.
Is there a second?
Second.
It has been properly moved by Member Montgomery Stepp and properly seconded by Senator Bradford to remove the 2 aforementioned sentences from the report. Is there any discussion on the matter? Member Holder, you're recognized.
Page 2 of chapter 14. That talks about who qualifies for reparations under the UN principles on reparations, based on the fact that AB 3121 requires us to recognize international human rights standards on reparations. I would suggest that we remove the last sentence and keep the other sentence, which emphasizes the importance of guarantees of non-repetition. That is critical. So I would suggest that we remove the last sentence only.
So the motion on the floor is a motion on the floor. If it passes, it passes. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and then we can entertain that. Unless you want to put in the motion to amend.
This is a discussion.
Okay, I'm just saying.
This is a moment for discussion.
Is there any other discussion on the matter?
So can I do? So what I'd like to do then is
with a motion
for a friendly amendment consistent with what I just said.
Not a friendly, just an amendment. amend the motion that was previously made. That's what you're seeking to
Okay.
do.
So amend the previous motion to be consistent with what I just said, which is to remove only the last sentence. That's the motion. I think we need to ask for a second.
I second. Is there a second? Okay. There is already a motion on the floor, though. So we need to deal with the motion that's on the floor. And we're still in the discussion on the motion on the floor. So your point is well taken, Member Holder. However, again, that first sentence is a misreading. I'm not going to go as far and say it's deliberate, but it's a misreading of the statute. And in preliminary meetings leading up to this hearing, right, I realized there wasn't an independent section on eligibility. The only references really to the community of eligibility was in a footnote, in a sparse sentence or two. And so I asked the California DOJ, one of my additions was to include in the footnote, the community of eligibility is descendants of slaves and free Black people living in the United States prior to 1900, as clarified by the author of AB 3121, Dr. Shirley Weber. The California DOJ told me if I want to add that little phrase, as clarified by the author of the bill, Shirley Weber, that would have to be a motion. And again, these two sentences here that are problematic, these are not sentences that are the voice of the task force via decisions that we've made in the past. These are decisions that have been inputted by the DOJ. So these are the opinions of the DOJ. This is a misreading of the DOJ of the task force's decisions over 2 years. So they do need to be taken out.
Okay.
And
Madam
otherwise,
Chair,
it's really a slap
are
in the
you
face.
speaking against the proposal to amend the amendment?
Yeah, we're in the discussion phase of the motion that's on the floor.
To amend
Member
the
Holder
amendment.
had a point about amending the amendment, and I'm saying, yes, I disagree with that.
Okay, so you're speaking against the motion to amend the amendment. So I just want to make sure we keep it straight so that we're first going to take action with regard to the amendment made by Member Holder that was seconded by Member Grills.
Why
To
are
which
we first taking action?
Because
on
that's
the
how you
motion?
do it. When you do amendments, two amendments, you take the last one first. And if that amendment takes place, no, you don't. Okay, I'm not. Okay, so you've got to, I'm sorry, Chair. So you have to take action, and obviously the vote, you can discuss it, which is what you're just doing, but you're discussing, it should be based on what you said, but make it clear that you're speaking with respect to the last amendment made. And then after that, if there's no further discussion, you would move it to the vote, and the member of the task force would vote on that amendment. If it fails, then you go back to the main motion with the amendment that was just made by Member Montgomery Stepp. Okay, so you first do this amendment, because what happens is that if that passes, it becomes a substitute motion. Okay, so that, because it takes the place of the first one. Okay, Madam Chair. Oh. Could you please?
And the motions that we have passed as a task force, along with the language of AB 3121. I think that is legitimate to remove both of those sentences.
If you want to follow that amendment, then you would vote against the amendment made by Holder.
Understood.
Okay.
Understood.
The last motion is to delete the last sentence.
I just think that I understand that
Okay.
and appreciate and know where you're going with that. I do just think that there is an interpretation of the statute that I don't necessarily agree with in the previous sentence.
That's fine.
Parliamentarian Johnson. Roll call vote, please.
Roll call.
All member holders amendment.
I will begin with Chair.
Okay, so I just want to pause it real quick so everybody's aware what's kind of going on right now. So basically, there were like two motions involved. So I'm gonna go back to let's see, where was it? Okay, so once again, they're referring to these two particular sentences in document, right? So now they're voting to either remove both of those two items from, right, the report, or to just remove the bottom portion. So right now, because there's two kind of motions going on right now, they're just removing the bottom. They're saying, let's remove the bottom part. That's what they're voting on. So if I understand correctly, based on the parliamentarian procedure, if they vote yay only for the removing of the bottom part, then they'll be able to keep the top part. So am I correct in that, Kim? Or am I incorrect?
Well, the second motion from council member Stepp was to remove both of these sentences, problematic sentences. So if they vote no on that, then they go back and have to vote on the first motion, which is from Holder, which is just to remove a portion of the problematic passages here. So the first vote is going to be just to get rid of it all. If that passes, then it's just all gone. If it doesn't pass, then they have to go back and vote on the other motion from Lisa Holder.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's where we're at. Let's continue.
Moore on the amendment to the amendment. Chair Moore?
No.
Chair Moore votes no. Vice Chair Brown? Vice Chair Brown votes no. Member Bradford? Member Bradford votes aye. Member Grills? Member Grill votes aye. Member Holder? Member Holder votes aye. Member Jones Sawyer? Member Jones Sawyer votes aye. Member Lewis? Member Lewis votes no. Member Montgomery Stepp? Member Montgomery Stepp votes no. Member Tamaki? Member Tamaki votes aye. Madam Chair, there were 5 ayes and 4 nays, no abstentions.
Thank you. There are 5 ayes, 4 nays, no abstentions, and the ayes have it.
Sorry, family. I'm just waiting for this one last statement from Camila Moore, and then probably pause it. We have some sister out now. Out in the audience.
So, okay, it is what it is. The motion has passed. You know, the sentence does not reflect the decisions that the task force has made over a course of years, and it does not reflect the actual language of the statute. It is a reflection of the opinion of the California DOJ. Well, the California DOJ has editorialized this paper. That sentence is not a reflection of the task force's lineage decision. It's not a reflection of the statute as it's written.
Chair Moore, just so we're clear, the decision was the decision of the task force. They just voted on it. So we just want to make sure that we're clear. There's no editorialization happening. We're reconciling what's voted on and the feedback from the task force members, and the task force just made a vote to make a change.
Okay, so in this particular section, I am recommending, when we reference the community of eligibility, we put in a footnote as clarified by the author of the bill, Secretary of State Shirley Weber.
All right, so I want to pause there. So, Kim, okay, I think we need to go back because I think I was correct the first time.
Probably.
Yeah, so I think I was correct. I think they were voting on just to remove, because even though I know Montgomery Stepp said what she said at the end, I think they were voting on to remove these two, and then Lisa Holder came in and said, nah, I think we just should keep the first and remove the second. And I think that's what they were voting on. Because I think based on her response.
That's what passed.
Correct. So what should be in that paragraph up top, while it says, while recommending that monetary reparations, all that line there should be in the final report. And then we'll see if they actually remove, which technically they should be removing at the same time, any recommendations, etc., to those harms is fully realized. So that should be gone out of the report.
Okay, thanks for that clarification. Yeah, I got a little noisy in here where I'm at. The film crew showed up and they're making a movie.
Uh-oh. Speaking of movies, check out Reparations Now, coming soon. We have some interesting news that we're going to be hopefully sharing with the family sooner than later. So maybe next show we'll have some more information about Reparations Now, the documentary. But we're securing up some distribution. So, that's just a whole nother process in it. But as Camila Moore said, they eventually voted to actually have a footnote from Dr. Shirley Weber regarding eligibility, and it did pass in there. So I don't want to play that because that's going to extend the show. But yeah, we just kind of wanted to just kind of overarching view of what happened. Yeah, family, hit us up at etnmediagroup@gmail.com to let us know what you think. And, next time.
No. So, but to quickly summarize, so what happened is
what happened was.
What happened was, yeah, so the Freedmen's Bureau did not get taken out of Section 5 and moved into Section 4. On this problematic language, they took out part of it, but not all of it. They didn't clear it all up. And what was the third point that we were looking at? Oh, the inclusion of Attorney Newman's updated language into section 17. I got that?
Yeah, I believe that was in section 17.
Okay.
Because that's supposed to be, I guess, part of the calculations.
Right. It's supposed to be in the
compensation and
part
restitution.
4. Yeah,
Right,
17, and did not get the additional pillars of international reparations included in the header there for chapter 17. So I think that's the gist of it, of what happened. Because I mean, sitting there in the meeting, I was like, what just happened?
Yeah, it was a whole bunch of confusion. I was just like, man, what is going on? People were looking around talking about, man, this is just crazy. But I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, I think even some of the task force members saying that they may have dropped the ball, in terms of some of these updates that probably especially that there should have been an eligibility chapter, right, dedicated just to eligibility. That was a big drop of the ball.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but yeah, nothing has changed in terms of eligibility and who's going to be eligible. So, but let's just see what's going to happen right now. I'm gonna just real quick, just want to click on this one. So definitely stay tuned, because on our next show, we're going to talk about what the next steps might be. We definitely want to go into the California budget, right? Because that's very important. Because that would definitely, impact, California and descendants as well. And we're going to explain what 4121.1 is. So we're just going to put that out there for you. We're not going to explain it to you now, but on the next show, we'll explain it to you what 4121.1 means. So yeah, I think that's about it. If you have anything else for the family.
No, that's it. Just thanks for joining, and stay tuned for the next phase in this process as we start the legislation phase of this, reparations movement.
Yeah, facts on facts. Well,
should be interesting.
Definitely. Well, everyone have a wonderful evening. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Make sure you rest up, get your proper sleep, your proper libation, and your proper intake of positive energy, family. We want positive energy moving forward, because I know there was a lot of built up, pent up energy during that time, during the last meeting. But, we definitely want to go in unified, focused, and be well informed, because this is a community effort.
For sure. So peace and lineage-based reparations.
All right, peace and reparations.
The way it currently stands, forced labor, slavery takes precedence over rehabilitation and public safety.
Oh, by the way, while the Biden administration gives reparations to everyone but freed people, look at the billions he has run over to Ukraine.
We don't have black grocery stores because if you think about it now, just to get in that supply chain, it's almost unheard of.
They don't want the truth to get out. Okay? I don't want to know what my family did or what all these people did and all this stuff like that. Okay? You read that 500-page report.
There's this thing called white superiority and black inferiority. That mindset allows all of the behaviors that we've seen across generations.
I had no idea that church I was running by every day was something my grandfather established.
This is not a handout. This is a debt that is owed.
Allensworth was like
the internet of its time in 1904, 1905.
The total black population in California is about 2.6 million, and then of that, the descendants compose about 2.2 million of that. So California, with a multi-billion-dollar surplus, can absolutely afford to satisfy the international terms for reparations, beginning with compensation.
Any financial obstacle that exists that impedes the success of increasing financial prosperity needs to be dealt with and eliminated.
No matter where we've been, no matter what part of this fight we've been in, we've been harmed, and we've had harm done to us specifically.
When I got to Los Angeles, this was some of the worst segregation I'd ever seen. And remember, I'm telling you, I'm from Mississippi.
Because as you can see, I'm giving you broken history right now, you know? But I had to give it to you guys today. I said, no, I got to show them this because it's so precious and nobody really knows about it.
Overnight, it's like, oh, it's no longer the quarters, now it's Lincoln Heights. Oh, so now we get to use Abraham Lincoln for our name. And you think about all the other people that they could have used, but they picked Lincoln. And I think that's sort of a stereotypical of what they do.
There wasn't any black restaurants. As far as black business and weed, it wasn't none.
Black people don't have that kind of luxury. Our historically black communities have been redistricted multiple times.
Why has it been easier for other groups than us?
Because of anti-black hatred.
Now listen, if you can't handle the TR room, don't tune in.